So someone asked me today, he said, I hope while you're going to interview Cornal, you're going to ask him why did he knock that ball. So I said, no, I won't be asking him that. I will ask him how did it feel to score the winning try. Can we just give him a hand? And, you know, whether it's on wing or center or, you know, sometimes coaches get a little bit confused and they're not sure. I mean, the players are so talented. Next, it might be scrummy, you know, we never know. We're not sure, but we're very proud to have you here at the best rugby team, by the way, in South Africa. Do we have any Bull supporters in the house? Okay, a few of you are undercover, I can see. It's time to get out of the closet, you know. Cornal, it's a privilege for us to have you here tonight. And can we maybe start off, before we get to the rugby and, you know, that fun stuff, would you mind maybe just sharing with us a little bit out of your childhood? You know, he just turned 31, and he's saying that the youngsters at the Bulls, the 18, 19-year-olds, call him Opes. So, you know, he's a senior. He's one of 4 players over 30. So, yes, that's tough. You know, if you past 30, you almost past your prime, and, you know, younger players are trying to get your position, and they call you Opes. So, before we talk about Opes and, you know, that part, let's go back a few years and maybe tell us about your childhood. You know, where are you from and those first 18 years. We can skip over the years you were at the Cheetahs. You know, that's not important at all. You can talk to Marno afterwards, but where are you from?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Colonel Hendricks. I'm from Wellington, a small place called the Peyton Place. I grew up in a very rural area, and for me, it's a privilege to be here tonight to share my story. I went to Wellington Primary School, and I went to Bergrivier Hoërskool, and I have 2 older sisters, an older brother, and I'm the youngest. And we got a younger sister that my mom adopted when she was only 6 months old. My mom found her on the bridge, and she's 18 years old now. And yeah, that's, yeah.
Any significant thing that happened maybe in your childhood? You know, growing up in a rural area, your parents quite rich, you know, did you have everything you dreamed about? What was the type of quality of life you had growing up?
I grew up without a father. Actually, my father's still alive, but my mother actually was our mother and our father, played a father role as well. And we didn't have everything we wanted in life. But when I'm coming from a sporting family, when I was 9 years old, I always dreamt of playing for Boland Cavaliers, and I wanted to become a Springbok. But I wasn't actually selected for any junior teams like the Grand Coma Week or under 18. But yeah, after high school, I've worked 2 years on the farm in Wellington just to get a meal for the family. And after that, I was selected for the under 19 Boland, and my career actually started that time. Yeah. While working on the farm, my dream was still alive, and I wanted to become a successful rugby player.
Wow. No, well done, and thank you for sharing that. Humble beginnings, and you know, it's always interesting how the Lord can use even terrible circumstances, but to shape us and to form us, you know, into the incredible man, you know, you've turned out to be today. So, when did rugby specifically, you know, or sport maybe in general, when did that become a passion for you?
As I said, I'm coming from a sporting family. My dad played rugby, and my brother, my older brother, he used to take me to the field. So when I was still 9 years old, the passion was there. But actually, after high school, actually when I was selected to play for the Boland Academy, stayed there, and then the passion grew to actually become a professional professional sport. I wanted to make that part of me. And actually, you used to pay 60,000 rand back in the day to be in the academy, and I was a single mom. My mom was a single person working, not working. We didn't have the money to pay my 60,000 rand, and every week they will mention the names on the list. And every week my name was on the list, and they said, Hendricks, when are you going to pay? I say, going to pay next week, coach. I don't have the money. And every week when they mention my name, I just scroll down the chair and hide myself. And one day the coach said, listen, there's something special. Don't worry about the money. We will take care of it. So, yeah.
Wow. Wow. The highlight of your career so far, I mean, your career is not over yet. Best is yet to come. But up to now, what was the highlight? Was it playing for the Blitzboks? Was it playing for the Springboks? Or then for the Bulls? You know, I mean, which one of those teams really means a lot to you?
I would say each and every team means a lot to me, but I would say my highlight of my rugby career is playing for the Springboks. I can remember in 2014, you must play Super Rugby to get selected for the Springboks. So I went to the Free State after the Blitzbokke in 2013, and in the same year, I actually got an email and said selected to go on the Springbok camp. And, you know, just looking at the email and see your name amongst Brian Abena, Victor Matfield, Yanni, all the big names. I printed that email and I kept it, and I framed it with my name. And going to the Springbok camp in Durban, sitting in one room with all the players. And I know JP Peterson was my roommate. And every 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I wake up in the evening just checking if this really JP Peterson. I mean, a small boy coming from Wellington, playing for the Springboks. And in the same week, I make my appearance for the Springboks, and I scored the first try in Durban against Wales. Yeah, that's my highlight.
Wow. Okay, so I thought we're not going to go there tonight, but you now mentioned that specific team in the States, the Free State. So it's actually quite biblical. You know, even Jesus himself went into the wilderness for 40 days. So maybe tell us, while you were there playing for the Cheetahs, you know, how did the Lord use that situation to shape your character? Because if I recall correctly, you were playing against Bakkies and Victor and, you know, these big oaks. And there were a few of those games where the scores weren't really in your favor at that stage.
Yeah, actually, the one coach was at Boland, Harvey's Fourie. So we liked the Boland players. And when I was at the sevens at the time, so he called me, and so me and Vali Leroux played together at Boland. So he's the only one I knew at the Free State, and Elgo Watts. So I used to play with them. So I wanted to play for the Free State, the kind of game they play, and they really they're a running team. So I like that. Coming from the Blitzbokke and going into the running team like that was actually good for me. And that's why I ended up playing for the Free State. And I like the people as well. I like Bloemfontein. But
Wow. There's one fan. Wonderful. Welcome. You drove quite far. Must be an experience to see the traffic lights and so on here in the city. No, I'm just joking. We love people from Bloem, and we're going to launch a life work chapter there. Maybe not this year, but we will in the future. Yeah. Great. Which leader, a person really, you know, had an impact in your life? Maybe it was a coach or a captain, or maybe one of the fellow players who you feel really had a significant impact on your life.
I would say there's three coaches who really had a really huge impact in my life, and I would say it will be Louis Koen, Paul True, and Heineke Meyer. There's all of the three men actually teach me. Louis Koen, back in the day at Boland, he was the guy who taught me how to respect myself, how to respect others, always being on time. And at the sevens, when Paul True was the coach, he shaped me into how to lead, how to be tough, in actually how to be a better person at the end of the day. And Heineken Meyer gave me opportunity to play for the Springboks. And he also he told me before one test, you can achieve anything you want in life. You just need to go out there and believe in yourself. And he's kind of a like strange coach. He will walk next to you and whisper in your ear and say, hey, jy gaan hulle klaarmaak Saterdag. You're going to be the best on Saturday. And you start believing all the things you are saying to you. And really, there's three coaches or men invested in my life. And I just want to take everything they've taught me to go and teach all the youngsters out there and going to invest everything they invest in me. I want to invest in other players or other people. So, yeah.
It must be difficult to be in the public eye, so often, and fame and fortune, and the world's eyes are on you. When did Jesus become a reality to you on your journey?
My mom is actually a Christian, and in 2014, I actually asked the Lord, if you're going to make me a Springbok, I'm going to give my heart to you. And
so the Lord kept his part of the deal.
Yes.
It looks like he went for it.
I didn't know it's going to be that soon. So in 2014, the same year, he made me a Springbok. And I remember his incoming tour. And we went to go and play end of year tour as well. So this thing was bugging me the whole time. You made a promise to the Lord. If he makes you a Springbok, you must give your heart to him. And I remember coming from the end of year tour, we got a weekend off. And I flew right back home. And I called my friend and said, listen, take me straight to the pastor. I want to give my heart to the Lord, because whatever you ask in Jesus' name, he will give to you. And that's the day I gave my heart to the Lord. And yeah.
Wow. So I just looked over the audience and I saw a few, of the slightly older men, maybe even a little bit out of shape. And it's really going to take a miracle, for the Lord to answer those prayers they just sent up, about their Springbok dreams. But maybe just a side note, those terms and conditions apply. We are not advocating that you make that type of deal, with the Lord necessarily. Don't phone us afterwards if it didn't work for you. But it's amazing, and thank you for sharing that with us. Your involvement in communities, and maybe specifically through the Cornal Hendricks Foundation. What are you guys doing there, and why? Why even bother spending some time and resources in the non-profit environment?
So before I get to that part, Ron, so after 2015, I went to go sign a deal with the Stormers in the Springboks. And after 2015, we were selected for the Olympic squad. And actually, when we were training, I remember it clearly was a Friday around about 3 o'clock. Everyone went for ECG, because there was a new kind of medical rule for the Olympics committee or something like that. And I remember everybody went for that scan, and after 10 minutes they called me and said, listen, your thing didn't work. It's probably stress or something like that. And then I went for a heart scan, and I was happy, man. It was Friday, I was going to go home, and I went for the heart scan, and you see, the one guy looked at me very funny, and I asked him, listen, what's wrong? He said, no, the doctor's going to talk to you now. And I remember the doctor is not even greeting me. He said, listen, it's over. I said, what do you mean it's over? He said, your rugby career is over. I said, no, man, Leon Suster must be here somewhere, because I just came from training, so what do you mean? And he said, I'm going to call your doctor now, it's over. And that day, I don't want to experience that thing. And when he told me I couldn't play rugby anymore, there was the darkest time in my life. And I just signed a new deal with the Stormers and the Springboks, and now suddenly you can't play rugby anymore. And I don't know if anyone experienced that thing before when you go to sleep at night and just wake up crying and while driving and you're crying because the biggest thing is taken away from you, and it's rugby. And every time I speak about this thing, I get emotional. And and I went 4 years without rugby, and then I started the Cornal Hendricks Foundation. Then I started to, and the one question I asked the Lord, if you still want me to play, I will play rugby. If you don't want me to play, then it's fine. But please take this emotional pain away, because that is the most thing that's killing me at the moment, is the emotional pain that I experience. And then I started the Cornal Hendricks Foundation just to give back in our community and just to shift my energy from my setback towards my community, to make it a better place for our children, and just to invest my time and telling our younger children in our communities, listen, it's okay. If you have a dream, protect it and ask the Lord to be with you. And what we do in our communities is we're going out and we help with development of rugby sport, also with life skills. And the dream is to, this year, to raise money to build not a normal high performance center, but a center where our people, our children can be, to have a safe haven after school, to do my homework or have a meal to eat, and to teach them to be a better person in life, and to creating them opportunity to be better in life. So that is the whole purpose of the foundation. Also, to raise more disciples for the Lord. Yeah.
Wow. Well done. Can we give him a hand for that? So, as he was sharing that disappointment, I just had the thought, maybe there are people also sitting here tonight and you're facing similar disappointments. And maybe it's not the end of a rugby career, but maybe it's at that crossroad where you feel, is this the end of that dream? Is it not going to be fulfilled? Maybe it's the end of a business. Maybe it's something not working out. And may you also just be encouraged through his testimony then. Cornal, the best book you've ever read. Now, I realize you're not a forward, otherwise we couldn't have asked this question, because forwards won't necessarily spend time reading, but he is a back, so I thought, let's try this, and what was the best book you've read, and maybe there's an inspirational quote which motivates you.
Okay, I've actually started reading, I think 2 years ago or last year. The best book I've read so far is the Rich Dad Poor Dad and The Richest Man in Babylon, because I actually like property and stuff like that, and I've learned a lot. And funny enough, I was telling Kurt, I've met Kurt earlier on today. One of my friends who played with me, Stefan Dippenaar, at the Sevens, they're farming in Mauriceburg. And he called me last year and said, listen, do you want to go into business with me with a flour? I said, what do you mean with flour? So they have stone ground flour, and so I'm trying to help him with distributing the flour. And actually, I've never imagined myself going to the farm with a kortbroekie and driving with my bakkie. And so and the quote for me is, the word of the Lord is like a lion. You don't have to defend the lion. You just have to let the lion loose, and the lion will defend itself. So that's a very special quote to me. And and that's the two books that I've already read. Yeah. Nice.
Any advice or maybe a little bit of motivation you have for the Christian business leaders here tonight, in light of the current challenges we're facing, the economy and politics and global, issues. We're all facing challenges. So, do you believe there's hope in this country? Do you have plans to immigrate or so on, or can you encourage us that you feel that there's a good future?
Personally, from my side, I believe there's hope in our country. Sometimes we think the grass is greener out there, and we our children, I have my daughter is 9 months years old, 9 months. So I believe our children is the future, and they're the next generation. And if we as leaders and parents can teach our children to be better people in life, and I believe with better people in our country and in the world, by teaching them the core value, I think South Africa can be a better place, and we can make the world a better place by investing in our children at the early age. And I certainly believe there's certainly hope in our country. Yeah.
I like that. Well said. So we have a few minutes left, and maybe we can open the floor, 1 or 2 questions. Not too difficult, please. Let's not put Cornal on the spot. We want him to come back when we invite him. So anyone brave enough?
To be quite honest, I wouldn't change anything. And the reason why I'm saying that is the 4 years, the difficult times in that 4 years made me actually realize, to be honest, I'm going to be brutal honest, I was in a way, very selfish when I was playing at the Springboks. You're getting a lot of money, you're driving the best car, and I was giving back to the communities, but not with the same heart that I'm giving now. And you come to a point where I lost everything, my house, the car, and then I realized that it's not about me. And actually the whole testimony or the whole test that I went through actually made me stronger as a person, and actually it gave me a glimpse of what rugby it's going to be after rugby. If you're not going to play rugby anymore, the reality you're going to face after rugby, it's not going to be the nice free stuff you get while playing rugby. You're getting in the real world, working, and just doing normal stuff as a normal person. And you're going to pay for your own traveling cost and everything like that. But I won't change anything. That hardships changed me by molding me the person that I am today. I'm very thankful to the Lord for taking me through that test. And today, I can say I'm more grateful for all the things coming my way now. So, yeah. Actually, balancing the two, being in the rugby industry, to be a Christian, there's a lot of guys are Christians at the Bulls or in the rugby environment. But as a Christian and as a leader, senior guy, I won't say you must always watch what you're doing, but all the younger guys looking up to you, so you must always set an example. So for me, like collaborating with the other senior guys in Christian, like Ivan van Zyl is a young pastor in our team. So talking to him and feeding from him and just balancing the two out, spending time with him and spending time with the youngsters, you must actually be alert what you talk to the youngsters or how do you lead while you're with them. And I think that is most important for me, getting the message across while spending time with the youngsters, because normally in rugby setups, the youngsters are on their own and the senior guys. So I make it my duty to go sit with the youngsters and tell him about my experience. I'm not telling what to do, but I'm just telling my story. So if they can take anything out of that, or if I can show them through what I'm doing on the field of the field, if they can take anything from that, then I think it's a good thing.
Cool. Yeah. That looks like it. Can we give Cornal a round of applause? What a blessing.